Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is one of the youngest and newly elected members of the European Parliament. Ms. Radwile Morkūnaitė has just joined the Parliament, a women's activist back in Lithuania, and she has an additional role today to play because she also represents the Lithuanian presidency of the Community of Democracies. May I welcome you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Mayor, thank you very much for inviting me to this beautiful meeting, to this George's Palace, and to a meeting where we can be together, active, non-indifferent people together, women and men. And for me, this day is special also as a Lithuania, as a chairmanship of the Community of Democracies for this period. And yes, it's a great pleasure to be here in this exceptional conference, Women Solidarity for Democracy, and it's especially important because, as you know, on 15th of September we will have International Day of Democracy, the day that we should have to commemorate all countries and all organizations that are working in the field of democracy, of spreading of democracy values, that we should commemorate in a proper way and to give a message for the world. The world is truly changing fast, and we have to cope with a growing number of challenges in various areas. But these changes only further encourage us to remember the true values of our society: essential rights, liberties, and opportunities that are closely linked with democracy. We all know that for the democratic process to take place, these rights, freedoms, and opportunities must necessarily exist. These include freedom of expression, right to political organization, opposition, fair and free elections, and so on. Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, Leila Zana, Taslima Nasrin, Ladies in White, Salima Ghazali, Nurit Pelet Elkhanam, Dorothy Mayastan, Anna Politkovskaya, Natalia Estemirova, and many others. These are the women who were engaged in the activities for democracy and human rights. Thanks to these women from different countries for their strength and movements to make essential rights and democracy process living of our past, present, and I believe of our future. Today I wish us to open discussion, and to have open discussion and a successful conference, and I think that we will share our experience and our thoughts in order to continue our fruitful cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Community of Democracies is a unique organization internationally because of the very special role it allocates to non-governmental organizations. We are therefore extremely pleased to have with us today from Washington Mr. Robert Lagama, for 36 years a career diplomat, and now the President of the Council for the Community of Democracies. Please welcome our first male guest at the conference. Bob, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I was a diplomat for 36 years, but today I'm an emissary of my 3 daughters, so that gives me credentials to be here. Madam Mayor, eminent officials and representatives of women's organizations from all over the world, I'm very honored to be here today as a representative of the non-governmental side of the Community of Democracies. You'll hear later from our president of the International Steering Committee, Paul Graham from South Africa, who will talk about our own organization, which consists of about 25 representatives of NGOs from all over the world and networks extending to hundreds, we hope soon thousands of NGOs that will bring some strength to the non-governmental side of the Community of Democracies. And we're looking forward to working very closely with our other sponsor here, Professor Mishra, of the newly created Permanent Secretariat of the Community of Democracies, an organizational part of the Community of Democracies that will give continuity and strength to the organization, will allow us to accomplish things at this time. 9 years ago, here in Warsaw, first time in history, foreign ministers from more than 100 democracies came together to discuss how to consolidate global democracy and how to support and promote it where it didn't exist, to work collectively toward that goals, and to strengthen the ideas of democracy around the world. One very prominent person whose presence was important for its absence was Aung San Suu Kyi, and I want to dedicate my remarks today to her in Burma. And she did manage to send a video message to that conference 9 years ago, in which she said it is important to recognize that democracy is based on the people. Democracy is not based on governments. There are many governments in the world today who pretend that they're democracies, or that they're working for democratic values, but they are in fact not. Unless people are allowed to be heard, unless people are allowed not just the freedom of speech and freedom of association, but as someone very pertinently pointed out, freedom after speech, freedom after association, we shall not be able to build up democratic institutions. Aung San Suu Kyi is still a prisoner of the Burmese government, and I think we should all give some thought to supporting her cause as the legitimately elected leader of that country. The Community of Democracies, when it was founded, was an inspiration of a woman, Madeleine Albright, and a Pole, the late Foreign Minister of Poland, Bronisław Goremek. Therefore, it is extraordinarily interesting that we will be celebrating its 10th anniversary next year, and that Poland will be hosting in Krakow that 10th anniversary of the founding of the Community of Democracies. That event will provide an ideal opportunity for rededicating, relaunching, and revitalizing the Community of Democracy under the leadership of its new chair, Lithuania, which incidentally has a woman president, and with its new Warsaw-based Permanent Secretariat, headed by the very dynamic Bronislaw Michał. My own organization, the Council for Community of Democracies, believes that the theme of this gathering should be foremost in the revitalization of the Community of Democracies. I recall the Chinese expression, "Women hold up half the sky." We are committed to placing gender equality at the forefront of our agenda and seeking to make it the highest priority of democratic governments of the Community of Democracies. We see lack of progress on the empowerment of women to be the last great impediment to human progress, as someone has recently written. We seek to remove the barriers of participation of women in the political process from the local to the national levels in countries around the world. At the same time, we see it as imperative to eliminate barriers to the education of girls. Working with a coalition of hundreds of NGOs around the world, we'll work to make the advancement of women on the road to equality a central theme for the next 2 years of the Community of Democracies, culminating in the ministerial that will be held in Vilnius in 2011. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bob.